Hi, this is Queenie Yu from Bullet Point News. I'm with our mental health correspondent, Sue Morrison, a certified addiction and mental health counselor at White Brick Therapy in Stouffville. Sue, some of our viewers have asked if you could speak about trauma.
Definitely. There's a lot of talk about trauma in the news and in society. Trauma is actually, Gabor Mate said it best when he said, trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside of you. So it's not necessarily the event that took place, it's your reaction or your perception to the event. And many of us deal with different situations differently. Trauma is also the impact felt from high levels of toxic stress. So extreme stress can also lead to trauma.
So, let's say two people have a job interview and they could
hmm
have very different reactions towards that event. Some could think
hmm
it's very traumatic and nerve-wracking, and another person could think, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'm ready." Why do two people have such different reactions?
That's a great question. And that's exactly what it is. We all have different reactions to different situations. Like, as you mentioned, two people go into the same situation. One person finds it traumatic, the other person doesn't. Why is that? It could be because of their upbringing and what kind of home that they grew up in. Did they feel unconditionally loved? Did they feel emotionally safe? Did they have that foundation, learning about skills and different ways of coping with stress? So, yeah, there's many different factors that come into play in terms of how we perceive events. So we don't always feel like we're allowed to feel our feelings. And that's a big part of it. We need to feel like we can express ourselves openly, honestly, and vulnerably, and it be okay, that our feelings are valid. And sometimes our parents aren't able to give us that through no fault of their own. They're also a product of their upbringing. And maybe in that household where they were brought up, it was sort of a silent household in terms of we don't talk about those things.
So, supposing I was brought up in a household like that where I didn't feel emotionally safe, and now I'm
hmm
reacting um, in a certain way towards stressful situations, can I change?
Definitely. We can all change. It's a matter of becoming aware, talking to someone about our feelings, and getting that validation now as an adult. Just because we didn't have that as a child doesn't mean we're scarred for life. We can now get that validation from friends, from family, from a therapist.
So, if I'm feeling very stressed or traumatized by ordinary events in the day, what
hmm
will that do to me physically or emotionally in the long term?
hmm Well, what happens is that our cortisol levels spike. You know, cortisol is a hormone that's released from our adrenal glands when we're stressed. And it has many amazing functions that we need for day to day life, such as, it suppresses inflammation, regulates our blood pressure, our blood sugar. But too much cortisol negatively impacts our body. And that can lead to things like diabetes, osteoporosis, high blood pressure, weight gain. So, cortisol can damage our organs. And over long periods of time, that takes a toll on our system, on our immune system, our nervous system, our heart, even. So stress, like they say, stress is dangerous. It can kill long periods of time.
So, if someone is experiencing a lot of stress in daily life, what could they do?
The regular things that we all talk about, getting adequate sleep, exercise, changing our thinking patterns, breathing exercises, just a lot of self care. What you do to take care of yourself that feels good for you, and it's different for everyone. For some people, it might be going for a jog and strenuous exercise. Someone else, it might be taking a bath or talking to a friend over a cup of coffee. We're all different, and we all need to tune into our bodies and find out how we can relax, different ways that feel good for us, where we can regulate our nervous system and get back into that parasympathetic nervous system where we feel at peace, we feel content, we don't feel that stress. And I think it's important we all take time out of our daily lives to just spend time in nature with friends, relaxing. But we need to make a conscious effort to carve out that time and to get back into
If
that relaxation stage.
if I'm not able to relax very much, how do I know when it's appropriate for me to see a therapist, for example?
Well, sometimes we can feel, anxiety is when our heart is racing. We feel helpless, we feel hopeless, we feel out of control. And we can't, and no matter what we do, we can't seem to get back into that relaxation state. And that's sometimes when we have damage to our nervous system. I think long periods of stress and trauma can lead to that, where that becomes our default, and sometimes we need to seek help. We need to talk to someone. How do I relax? How do I decrease my stress? And we can learn different skills and coping techniques from a therapist or a counselor to deal with that stress and to get back into that relaxation state. And massage can help, things like going for a walk. There are different things that we can do.
Great. Thank you so much, Sue. How can we get more information about this?
You can Google white brick therapy and make a consult appointment, a free consult. Thank you for your time,
Thank you.
Queenie.
Thanks, Sue.